Does the world have too many people or too few? The world's population surpassed 8 billion in November 2022, and in April 2023, India officially beat China as the most populous country on the planet. But a new study suggests that the world population could fall to 6 billion by the end of the century. And despite there being more people than ever before, 2/3 of them live in countries where the population is actually in decline. Italy, South Korea and Finland are just some of the countries facing massive demographic changes due to an ageing population, and the Japanese government is already warning its citizens that the country is on the verge of societal collapse due to dangerously low birth rates. So what is the outlook for the world's population, and should people be having more children or less? Population decline is being driven by declining fertility around the world. With better healthcare and lower child mortality rates over the past century, couples are opting to have fewer children than in the past. Increasing levels of education, access to contraception, and opportunities for women in the workplace have also contributed to parents opting for smaller families. And while world leaders long feared that the population bomb would explode, leaving humans to fight among themselves for increasingly scarce resources, many countries are now facing the opposite reality, with not enough workers to sustain them in the future.
So I think the problems are multifold. The first one is what's called the dependency ratio, which is the number of people over working age to the number of people in working age, roughly. And that's just changing. In a place like Japan, it means more and more older people are relying on fewer and fewer workers, both to do the work that's required to support the society for the old people and more generally, but also to pay the taxes. As a society ages, which is natural if you have a very low fertility rate, and a good long life expectancy, then more and more needs to be spent on health, more and more needs to be spent on social care. So there are financial implications and there are labour force implications. It's no coincidence that Japan has the highest debt ratio of any OECD country by far. They have to keep borrowing. For now, that's working, but it may not work forever. So eventually, you could have real financial problems. And indeed, already we're having labour shortages.
The number of people above the age of 80 is expected to rise from 155 million in 2021 to 459 million in 2050. Despite these predictions, many young people in richer countries are reluctant to have children, especially given rising costs of living and pay stagnation. Millennials in advanced economies are less likely than their parents to own their own home and will be more in debt than previous generations. However, not everyone thinks that a declining population is a bad thing.
Well, the pace of population growth is unsustainable, so seeing that growth begin to finally stabilize and even decline is a positive thing. I mean, human population puts enormous pressure on the planet, which makes it harder to meet our own needs too. For example, experts predict that billions of people could be displaced in the coming decades as the impacts of the climate crisis intensify and make more places unlivable. And it's also really important to note that population decline is the result of really positive societal developments, including increased gender equality, education, and reproductive freedom.
Population decline may result in increased migration, allowing people from more populous countries to move to those that need workers. Global migration has been crucial in filling rising job vacancies in Germany, the UK, and the US. In fact, without migration, the EU's 2019 population would have shrunk by 500,000. There is also the chance of new visas being introduced to ease the arrival of more workers. But with rising polarization and anti-immigration sentiment spreading across the world, will population decline cause more problems than it solves?